So I told you we would talk about some personal things and some examples in my own life that I think could tie into this message. Is your trust misplaced? And so my personal testimony of how I trusted in man, aka mere flesh, and I chose to be cursed and be the bush, specifically in leadership. There was a time where I was in calculus. At the time, I felt like I was advanced, but nowadays, kids is learning all this stuff way earlier, which is crazy. But long story short, I had this calculus teacher. I currently had a passing grade. And when I had this passing grade, right, like there was a test that was coming up and, we were doing the homework and I went up to this teacher and I said, hey, I felt like I understood the homework. It was cool. Like, is this gonna be good? Like, should I, because I was already in the middle of like, should I drop this class so I can drop it and have a passing grade or what? Because I just wasn't. It was just too difficult to really understand. And the teacher wasn't really helpful at that time, anyways, because it was really hard to understand them teach this calculus stuff. But I had this moment where I trusted in him. And he said that, hey, the test, like everything on the test is going to be in the homework. That was like basically like from the homework. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like I understood the homework. So I was like, all right, well, I'll get this test and maybe it'll bump my grade and I'll stay in the class. I trusted, and nothing of the test was anything like the homework. And obviously I bombed it and I ended up, finishing that class with less than a passing grade when I had already had a passing grade. So that's just one example of when I decided I was going to trust in man and, thinking that was going to be helpful. And it didn't. The outcome was that I was worse off than I started. And it sucked really bad because I was really proud of my math skills back in the day and I thought that was going to help, and it didn't. And that was one area where I was the bush in leadership specifically. And so the next one, when I'm talking about status and money, I 18 years old, I didn't end up going to college. I went straight to work, and I already knew that I wanted a career, and I had a career, and it was great. The benefits, the money, the vacations, the time off, I was able to travel and do all kinds of stuff. It was awesome. And I trusted in it. I thought I was going to be there forever. I felt like that was going to be my career and I was going to go. And some of you may have heard this story already, but maybe not in this way, that I trusted in it. I trusted that check was coming every week. I trusted that I was going to be able to retire at a very young age because I started at 18. And injuries happened, and that completely changed. And so I trusted in status and money. And when I didn't have it anymore, it shook me. And I had a real moment of like, what's my identity? Like, who am I? Until I, went through years of, learning myself and kind of coming to where I am today, which is way better than everything I dealt with back then. But that was my bush moment, if you will, in the area of status and money. So going to the next one about, trusting God and having a moment of understandable weakness and doubting, it came to a decision where I had to figure out, okay, was I going to stick it out and be hurt and risk being hurt again, or, move on? And I felt like I heard the Lord say, take a faith step, trust me. It's not all about your career and status and money. Just trust me. And so I did. I took a faith step and I said, you know what, I'm going to leave this company. It's 10 years in and I'm out. It's not going to be my career anymore. And I trusted God's word. Kind of like the angel of the Lord came and told Zacharias. I felt like God was telling me like I would be okay if I would make this decision. And it was the people closest to me, some family members, some friends, that were like, what the heck are you doing? that's your career, that's your future, that's everything you've ever worked for, that's what you started with as you was 18. And all of this doubt started creeping into my mind, and it kind of shook me a little bit. I was kind of down on myself. I was like, did I make the right decision? I started doubting myself, and it just sucked. It just wasn't the best feeling, because I knew what I heard. I knew the confidence that I had. I knew the faith step that I took, but it wasn't fun to hear either. And so it caused me to doubt. I let other people, I trusted in their thoughts and their feelings instead of trusting in what God had already told me. And then I doubted, and it brought me into a little bit of a low place for a couple of days. And then thank God, God brought me back, and I'm so glad about the decision that I made. And it was the greatest decision I ever made in my life. Outside of, receiving the Lord and my wife. So maybe not the greatest decision, but there's way more other things. But I'm just glad that I stuck with the word that God gave me, and I didn't trust in people closest to me, my family, my friends, because even though they meant well, it wasn't what God had for me. And so that was the area of trusting in God with the area of doubt. And then lastly, how I trusted God completely. I trusted God completely when I was living my life, doing my own thing, and kind of like the woman with the 12 years of the issue of blood, I had the issue of heartache. I would put a lot of, my heart into other people's hands, relationships, families, friends, dating relationships, and those didn't help, because I put my heart into hands that only God could really hold. Like, only God could really hold my heart correctly. And I was trusting people to do what only God can do. And I did that for many years, kind of like the woman of the issue of blood. You just think like these people are going to make it, like eventually it's going to work out. But it never did, until I said, you know what? I'm done. Like, I can't keep feeling this anymore. My heart hurts. Like when you get like a heart broken, or you're just feeling it, and you feel it in your chest, like it just hurts, and you can't do nothing about it. Like, I got to that point in my life where I was like, you know what, God? I'm giving my whole heart to you. And when I did that, fast forward to where I am now, he's my everything. And my wife could tell you, my family could tell you, my friends can tell you, like, I left everything for him. And I've never regretted that decision of my life. And there was years of times where people didn't understand, but they understand now, because my life is full of joy when I'm with him. And that's how I trusted completely. And so I just want to give you an opportunity to understand that when you trust in God with your whole heart, he will meet you exactly where you are. My heart was shattered. I was doing life my own way. I wasn't thinking about God. I was doing my own thing. And, I may have had God in my life, and I may have thought about God, and I may have grew up in church and all this other stuff. But when you really choose for yourself, right? The bush or the tree is all up to thee. When I decided I want to be the tree now, my life shifted in many ways. And I want to give you that opportunity as well. A lot of people think that, coming to Jesus and like you just have to pray a prayer and you'll be saved, and you won't go to hell. You'll just go straight to heaven. And it's not necessarily how it works. It's about trust. It's about complete trust. And in the kingdom, they use the word faith, but faith and trust kind of go hand in hand. And so when you have complete faith that, you know what, I'm imperfect, I can't fix myself on my own, and I have a God who loved me enough to take my place so that he could be my strength. And you start to believe, like, you know what? I want to put my complete trust, I want to put my complete faith in him. I want him to be the Lord of my life. Same way you have a landlord, right? Like, Let him be Lord of your life. And when you take that faith step, that's where true salvation starts to come in. It's not just like, oh, I'm a sinner and I'm sorry for my sins and this and that. Like, yes, pray and pray the sinner's prayer and repent. But understand that it's about faith. Even in the Bible, you can look this up, and I feel this so strongly. He said that when he returns, will he find faith? He didn't say anything else. And there's this song that's been playing in my mind lately about, will you find me faithful? Like, God didn't say, well done, my good and fruitful servant. Like, you did so much for me. God is going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. He's looking in the earth to find faith. Do you believe that Adam messed up and lost the kingdom of heaven, right? Lost the kingdom, lost alignment with God. And we are born of that descendant. So that's how it starts. We're born sinners, right? You hear that. We're born sinners because he messed up in sin, and that's the lineage that we came from. But then Jesus came to realign us with the kingdom. And so for the punishment that was deserved, Jesus took that for us. And so when you accept Jesus, now he represents you to the Father as white as snow. And that's why I love, like, if you really know me, I'm all about all white everything. I love white because he took off my dirty clothes and he put on a robe of righteousness. Even in my sin, even in the wrong that I do, even to this day when I still mess up, he represents me as holy and pure to the Father. And there's nothing more special than that. And so I share that with you because that's my testimony. That's where I live. And if you know me, you know the life I lived before I was here. And if God can do it for me, he can do it for you. I love you guys with all my heart. Believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord of your life, and you believe that he died and rose again on your behalf, and that he conquered all of sin, past, present, and future, and hell, death, and the grave, so that we could live eternally with him and not in damnation. Don't pour out what's valuable into something that can't hold it and cherish it the way that he can. I love you guys. Have a good one. Thank you if you made it this far. I'm sure it was a long one, but I'm grateful and appreciative. Is your trust misplaced?